Hello students, myself Dr. Pallavi Rai Lavhale, and today I am going to continue with unit 1 of BP 405T. The topic today we are going to discuss is the chemical and biological evaluation of crude drugs. So, we have already discussed about the organoleptic evaluation, then we discussed about the microscopic evaluation and the physical evaluation. The next evaluation which we are going to discuss today is the chemical evaluation, and in chemical evaluation the basic meaning, it means that when we are only studying the phytochemistry or the chemistry of a particular drug. It may be that we are using certain chemical tests or we are doing certain quantification of those chemical structures, that comes under the chemical evaluation. So, what are the things which we can do? We can use certain instruments for the identification, qualitative tests or quantification of a particular drug. We can perform chemical tests. We can basically identify individual chemical constituent of a particular plant, extract or even the plant itself, or even we can perform the microchemical test. Microchemical test in the sense when we are using a microscope and we are adding certain reagents and producing color out of it, that is the microchemical test. So, these are the different types of chemical evaluations that can be done. Now, before we move to chemical evaluation, I would like to discuss one thing with you, that whenever a plant drug has to be studied, it needs to be converted into a form which can be easily used for its testing. For example, if I use directly a powder of any plant, so it may not mix properly with the water or any other solvent. So, what needs to be done is, first of all we will prepare extracts out of those drugs. So, what we can do is, the first step which normally a researcher or a person who is studying a crude drug does, that he does successive solvent extraction. So, in successive solvent extraction, I mean to say that we start with a completely non-polar drug like hexane, then we move to a slightly less polar drug, it may solvent, that may be chloroform, then we may move to say ethyl acetate, acetone, alcohol, alcohol can be methanol or ethanol, and then water. So, these are the solvents which I have written, these are the main solvents. We can add or remove any of the solvents depending upon our drug, but in general we have these few solvents which are generally used for successive solvent extraction, starting from hexane which is completely non-polar, then chloroform, then ethyl acetate, acetone, alcohol and water. Now, what is the purpose of doing this? What happens that in a particular drug we have all the things together, okay. We have the sugars, we have the oil, everything is there together. But when we are performing the chemical analysis, we want them to be separated, so that there is no any interference in the determination of these chemical constituents. So, for that what we do, we use different types of solvents. So, with one drug we will first do the extraction with hexane, then whatever drug is remaining we will use the same drug and we will do extraction with chloroform, the same drug will be extracted with ethyl acetate, then it will be extracted with acetone, then with alcohol and finally, it will be extracted with water. So, from the main drug which we are, if there are, suppose I will give you a very simple example, that there are 10 ingredients in our plant. So, we know 2 are completely non-polar in nature, they will go in hexane, 1 is polar in slightly in chloroform, then 1 may go in ethyl acetate, 1 may go in acetone, 2 may go in alcohol. Okay. So, we have around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 3 may go in water. So, what we have done, rather than studying the 10 together, we have differentiated into different extracts, and now our study becomes easier. So, that is the reason why we do the extraction. And what are the main ingredients which are there in these extractions? We generally are going to study the phytoconstituents like tannins, alkaloids, phytosterols, triterpenoids, flavonoids, cardioglycosides, anthraquinone glycosides, saponins, carbohydrates, proteins, amino acids, fixed oils and fats. So, all these are together in one plant. So, the first step what we has done is we perform the extraction. Now, after performing the extraction, the next step comes, that is the testing. Okay. So, before I move to testing, again I would like to mention one thing, that normally when we are doing chemical evaluation can be done by two forms. One is the qualitative evaluation and second is the quantitative evaluation. You must have studied in analysis already that qualitative evaluation is when we are identifying a particular drug, that whether this drug is say if we are getting a tablet, if we got a tablet and we have to study whether this is paracetamol or not. So, that study is qualitative test. But if we want to tell that how much paracetamol is there, suppose it contains 500 milligram of paracetamol. So, we have to determine that yes, whether it contains 500 milligram of paracetamol or not. That is the quantitative chemical evaluation. Okay. So, the difference key whether it is paracetamol or not, and if it is paracetamol then in how much quantity it is present, that is how we can differentiate it into either qualitative evaluation or quantitative evaluation. So, in qualitative evaluation, the first thing which is done is the chemical test or the phytochemical test. So, in this the first one is ferric chloride test, which is done for tannins. Tannins are substances which are soluble in water, they are phenolic compounds which do not contain any nitrogen and they generally have a astringent effect. Okay. The examples are Amla, Baheda, Ashoka, Arjuna, etc. So, if we want to check whether our drug contains tannins or not, we will either take water or alcohol extract, and to that we will add ferric chloride solution about 5%. So, if it is producing a blue color, then it tells that a specific type of tannin, that is the hydrolyzable tannin, is present. Okay. If it gives a green color tells that it is a non-hydrolyzable tannin. The second test is gelatin test. Gelatin test is something, gelatin is a protein. So, when it reacts with tannin, because tannins are generally astringent in nature, they precipitate the gelatin and produce lot of precipitates. So, that is the second test for tannins. Then the alkaloidal test. In alkaloids, there are 4 main tests which are mentioned always, that is Bragg-Rauph's test, Mayer's test, Hager's test and Wagner's test. Okay. So, in this basically the main test I will just explain it to you in brief. In Bragg-Rauph test, we normally used potassium bismuth iodide, and this potassium bismuth iodide solution, when it is getting mixed with alkaloid, it produces a red orange color precipitate. It produces red orange colored precipitates. If I talk about Mayer's test, Mayer test contains potassium mercuric iodide. So, Bragg-Rauph's contains bismuth, Mayer's contains mercuric iodide, and this mercuric iodide gives creamy white precipitates. It produces creamy white precipitates. The Hager's test, it contains picric acid, and when this picric acid solution it is added to alkaloids, it produces bright yellow colored precipitates. So, Hager's test gives us yellow color precipitates. And last is the Wagner test. Wagner test is Wagner reagent is iodine solution. So, it contains both iodine plus potassium iodide. I2 plus Ki is Wagner solution, and this Wagner solution with alkaloids gives red brown precipitates. It gives red brown precipitates. So, we have the 4 alkaloids, alkaloid test, Dragendorf test, Mayer's test, Hager's test and Wagner's test. Then there is one test which is generally done for the phytosterols, which is known as the Lieberman-Burchard test. Now, this Lieberman-Burchard test is done for a particular sterol structure present in many of the plants, like the steroidal saponins or the cardiac glycosides. They generally give a positive test for these phytosterols, and the test is done by mixing the extract with 2 ml of acetic anhydride. We take the extract which we prepared earlier, and to this we added 2 ml of acetic anhydride. After that we will heat it to boil, cool it, and then we will add 1 ml of concentrated sulfuric acid. On addition of the concentrated sulfuric acid, normally whenever we add a concentrated sulfuric acid, we add it from the side. This is just imagine this as a test tube, and when this sulfuric acid goes to the bottom, it will get collected on the bottom part, and above that we have the another layer of our drug which is present. Okay. So, this other layer of the drug and the H2SO4, they will prepare a junction, and at the junction we will have a dark green coloration. Dark green coloration is there basically in the upper layer. Okay. At the junction you have a brown layer, above that there is a dark green color. So, this test will be positive if a brown ring is formed with a dark brown color on the upper side. The second test is done for the triterpenoids, which is known as the Salkowski test, and in this again what is done, we take the dried extract to which we add chloroform and few drops of sulfuric acid. So, again in the same way, when we are adding the sulfuric acid, it goes at the bottom of the test tube and it prepares a interface or a junction. So, at the junction if a red brown color is formed, then it says that the triterpenoids are present. So, triterpenoids are generally found in the saponin drugs. Okay, the saponin glycosides, they have the triterpenoidal structure or the alpha amyrine structure. So, this test, that is Salkowski test, is generally positive for the triterpenoids. Now, we will look at the other tests. One is the Shinoda test. Shinoda test is generally done basically for the flavonoids. Flavonoids are present in all the natural substances, almost all the natural drugs to some extent, but specifically if I say the quercetin, which is present in many of the drugs like tulsi, then ashwagandha, okay, they give a very, you can say, effective nature to our particular drugs, and they are more like a antioxidants. So, Shinoda test is positive for the flavonoids, and the test is done by adding magnesium turnings. We have the magnesium metals which are added to the drug, and after that we add dilute HCl to this particular test tube. So, on addition of dilute HCl, it produces a very slight pink color. Very slight pink color is produced, and this pink color shows the presence of the flavonoids. Then with alkaline reagent test, when we add any kind of alkaline reagent to the flavonoids, it produces yellow color with flavonoids. In lead acetate test, when we add lead acetate to our flavonoids, it produces bright yellow colored precipitates. Then the next category is that of saponins. Saponins are those drugs which normally produce foam or frothing on shaking with water. They also have one more property of you can say lysing the RBC, the red blood cells, they get you can say lysed or break down in the presence of saponins. So, the two common tests which are done, first is the foam test, where in a test tube we will take the drug and to that we will add water and shake it. So, in case we have lot of frothing which is forming, so if the froth is there and it is persistent, means it does not dissolve for more than 10 to 15 minutes, we will say that this drug is containing foam or saponins. If we talk about the next one, that is the hemolytic test. In hemolytic test, we will prepare a blood smear on a particular slide, microscopic slide. On that we will put few drops of the saponin solution and check under the microscope. If the RBC ruptures, it means that it contains saponins. Then we have certain drugs for tests which are done for the cardiac glycosides, like the Keller-Kiliani test, Baljet test, Legal's test and Caday's test. These are also tests which are very important, because cardiac glycoside itself it belongs to a very important category of drugs. So, now we move further to the Born-Traeger test and the modified Born-Traeger test. So, in Born-Traeger test, the simple Born-Traeger test, what we do is we take either acid, maybe HCl or H2SO4, to that we add any organic substance like benzene or chloroform, and then we add ammonia. So, when we are doing this, the ammonical layer, it turns pink in nature. So, that is the Born-Traeger test. Now, what happens is that the carbon C glycosides normally present in aloe vera. So, these C glycosides, they will not give the positive Born-Traeger test, because the CC bond is very tight, it is very strong. So, to break that, we normally add FeCl3 to the above mixture. So, first we will add FeCl3 and then HCl, then benzene and then ammonia. So, then we will get a pink color. So, that is the modified Born-Traeger test. Then for carbohydrates, we can do the Molish test, Barford's test, Selivanov's test or Felling's test can also be done. These are very common tests which you must have done in your school itself. Then for proteins, we perform biuret test, ninhydrin test, Millen test and xanthoprotic test, and for fats and fixed oils, we perform the saponification as well as the filter paper test. Now, if we look at the other part, that is the quantitative evaluation, we can do it by two techniques. One is the chromatographic technique and second is the spectroscopic technique. So, basically because herbs are a mixture of many things, so it is important first of all to separate those ingredients, and after separation, when we do the analysis, we get the actual concentration or assay of our particular constituent. Now, if we talk about any drug, it is a mixture of so many things. So, we have to our first step should be to identify the marker compound. For example, if I take Amla, so we know Amla is rich in vitamin C. So, what we can do, we will consider vitamin C as our main standard drug. We can also use ellagic acid, which is again present in our Amla. So, we can either use ellagic acid or vitamin C as a chemical marker, and using that chemical marker we can determine that what quality of drug are we having. Okay. So, what we will do, first using the chromatographic technique, which can be any kind of techniques like thin layer chromatography, HPTLC, which is high performance thin layer chromatography, high performance or high pressure chromatography, which is HPLC, or gas chromatography or even column chromatography. What we can do is we can separate the different chemical constituents in one particular drug, and once we have separated, we can analyze those drugs using the second technique, that is the spectroscopy. For example, UV visible spectroscopy, IR spectroscopy, mass spectroscopy, NMR spectroscopy and to some extent Raman spectroscopy. So, here we are combining two different scientific instrumental methods. One is the chromatography, which is mainly related to separation of the ingredients, and spectroscopy, which mainly deals with the estimation of the active ingredients present in a particular substance. If we look at the instruments like HPLC or HPTLC also, there we have the combination of special UV visible lamps which help in determining the amount of absorption or transmission of the source light which helps in determining the concentration of the active ingredients. So, with this we end our chemical evaluation, and now we move to the next topic, that is the biological evaluation. So, what is the significance of this biological evaluation? Biological evaluation is generally done when we cannot do the chemical, physical or any other kind of evaluation. So, we have to perform the biological evaluation, and in general in initial stages when a drug is developing or a drug is getting studied, we should know what are the biological properties of our particular drug. Okay. So, we should know basically the toxicology of our drug, we should know the pharmacology of the drug, and we also need to perform the microbiological evaluation on later stages. So, first we will discuss about toxicological evaluation. When a particular drug is consumed by a patient, we should know that in what concentration will it be safe. If I take example of amla, then amla can be consumed to any extent because we consider it as a food also. But if I take another example of dhatura, so dhatura is also a fruit, but can we consume it on a regular basis? No, it is highly poisonous in nature, it is toxic in nature, right. So, we should know in how much amount this dhatura is toxic, because it has therapeutic effects also, but it is toxic also. So, in order to have the therapeutic effects without the toxic effects, we have to perform the toxicological evaluation of these crude drugs. So, generally animals like rats or rabbits or mice are used by the pharmacologist or the toxicologist, who give the drug either on a regular basis or a single dose basis, and they will observe the animals for their behavior for a particular period of time, say 7 days, 14 days or even 3 months, depending upon what kind of toxicological studies are we performing. Are we going for the acute toxicology study or the chronic toxicology study? That tells us that how long a particular drug will be studied. But what you have to understand is that when we are determining that a particular drug is harmful in how much concentration, that is what we call the toxicological evaluation. Then comes the pharmacological evaluation. So, in pharmacological evaluation we have two parts, one is the pharmacokinetics and other is the pharmacodynamics. Pharmacokinetics is something that what the body does to the drug. So, we should know that when we are consuming a drug, then in what rate it is getting excreted out of the drug of our body. For example, if we take a drug and it remains in the body for a long period of time, then what will happen, that the body will start retaining those things in the liver, in the kidney, there will be liver damage, there will be kidney damage, and ultimately the patient will suffer. So, we should know that yes, this drug should get excreted in about 4 days, 5 days or less than that, okay, not more than that. The second thing is pharmacodynamics. This is most important. Like if you get to know that okay, traditionally this drug was used as a anti-diabetic. So, how can you ascertain that yes, it is anti-diabetic in nature? So, you have to provide certain evidence, means what the drug is doing to the body. So, if I have to study a drug for its anti-diabetic effect, what I will do? I will take a group of animals, and to those animals I will start first of all induce diabetes in those animals. It can be done by removing the pancreas or by giving certain toxic drugs. So, when the diabetes is incorporated in that particular animal, after that we start giving the drugs to those animals. After a period of time, we will measure the blood glucose level in those animals. Now, if our drug is anti-diabetic in nature, it will control that blood glucose, right. So, it will become a validated anti-diabetic drug. So, this is how we can determine the efficacy of a particular drug, by first inducing the problem in the animal and then giving our drug and studying whether our drug is acting in a positive way or not. When you study pharmacology further or research methodology further, you will be able to understand many other aspects related to this pharmacodynamic studies. And last point is the microbiological evaluation. So, microbiological evaluation is important from WHO point of view, because our plants, they are coming from a natural source, they contain water and carbohydrates, which is a very good, you can say, area or place where the microbes can grow. So, we have to keep in mind that the main microorganisms like E. coli, Salmonella typhi, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, then Staphylococcus aureus, Enterobacteriaceae, such bacteria should be either present in a particular limit or completely absent in our finished dosage forms. So, those limits are tested as per the Indian Pharmacopoeia guidelines, and we have to give that yes, our drug is following all the limits. So, with this we end this lecture on biological evaluation as well as the chemical evaluation of crude drugs. Thank you.